Giants fans, the Mitchell Trubisky rumors are heating up, and according to Yahoo, the Giants are the favorites to sign Mitch Trubisky. So I want you to pick a starter for me. If you want it to be Mitchell Trubisky, go type MT, or if you want to stick with Daniel Jones, go type DJ in the comments right now. What's going on, Giants fans? Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Give me a follow on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. Really appreciate it. I'm trying to get my Twitter game up, trying to get to 1,000 followers, so I need your help. Give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_. In today's show, we're going to talk about the latest Mitchell Trubisky rumors, and now there's a rumor coming out that the New Orleans Saints could be interested in a Daniel Jones trade. That would be something. But first, let's talk about the Mitchell Trubisky rumors that were started by Charles Robinson. He's a senior NFL writer for Yahoo Sports, and he said this: a quick note on a QB not named Wilson or Rodgers. Spoke to a team in the thick of it for a competitive backup QB in free agency, and they have a strong belief that Mitchell Trubisky is going to end up with the New York Giants in competing with Daniel Jones for the starting job. We've all heard, and we've talked about it on this channel, that's why you subscribe, about Mitchell Trubisky potentially being a backup option for the New York Giants. The ties to Brian Daboll, the ties to Joe Schoen, the ties to Shea Tierney, the now QB coach for the Giants, the assistant QB coach for the Buffalo Bills last season. So there's definitely a connection there. But then Jeff Duncan, a beat reporter for the New Orleans Saints, he quote tweeted that Charles Robinson tweet and said this: would not surprise me to see the Saints make a call to the New York Giants to check on the availability of Daniel Jones. Could we be in an offseason with a brand new head coach and a brand new general manager where we trade Daniel Jones and sign Mitchell Trubisky to be the starter for the New York Giants? It'd be a crazy offseason, but I don't think anything's off the table, and Joe Schoen has said that. He said he's going to take calls on every single player on this roster. So if the New Orleans Saints called about Daniel Jones and then said, hey, would you trade him to us for a 2022 third-round pick? Let me know what you would do. Go down in the comments and type A for accept, or if you are just gung-ho about Daniel Jones being the future of the New York Giants, go down and type D for decline. Adam Schefter has a podcast, and he had Mitch Trubisky on it yesterday. And he asked him, he mentioned a couple teams and what he thought of when he first heard those teams' names. And he said, Mitch, what do you think of when you hear the name the New York Giants? And he said this: Coach Daboll right away, just because of my connection with him in Buffalo. I'm excited to see what he does in New York. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I do know whatever he does there, he is going to do a great job with that offense. Daboll and Mitch are boys. It's noted that they grew a strong relationship this past year in Buffalo where they worked together. And there were rumors coming out that they were tight, but there's also proof that Mitchell Trubisky gave when he first signed to the Buffalo Bills as to why he signed with them, and it was because of Coach Brian Daboll. The only thing I have a problem with, and not really a problem with it, I don't see all the way through, is that Mitch 100% wants to be a starter. When I listened to that Adam Schefter podcast yesterday, it was clear that when teams that were brought up that needed a starting quarterback, like the Washington Commanders, or the New Orleans Saints, or the Indianapolis Colts, he talked about them in a way higher light than he did of the New York Giants. This is someone that wants to be a starter. And I think if he did sign to the Giants, he would get the opportunity to compete with Daniel Jones, so I could see why he would want to be a New York Giant. But Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler, they did this piece on ESPN, and they said this about Mitchell Trubisky and what his free agent market could look like. They said this: teams are openly discussing whether Trubisky gets $10 million or more annually on a new deal. That his name is a hot one, is not manufactured. It's real. His career reset in Buffalo went very well, and teams that will look to draft a QB could sign Trubisky to start this year. A Trubisky pairing with a first-round pick, such as Malik Willis, wouldn't shock a few teams. The Panthers, Steelers, Commanders, Giants, and potential Broncos, not anymore, they got their guy, are believed to be in the mix here. And I'm just going to be honest. If Mitchell Trubisky is looking to get $10 million, I don't think the New York Giants are going to be that team. The Giants, they have a strong need for a backup quarterback. But with the way their cap situation sits and the cuts they're going to have to make and the trades they're going to have to make to just create enough cap space to sign the first two picks in the first round, you can't afford to pay a backup quarterback $10 million, even if he comes in to compete with Daniel Jones. This is wild. Mitchell Trubisky last season signed a one-year deal with the Buffalo Bills for $2.5 million. So he's going to 4x his salary by not playing a single game in the National Football League. He's just going to sit on the bench, up his salary by 4x. Is Brian Daboll really that good of a QB whisperer? And if he is, why wouldn't he be able to get the most out of Daniel Jones? If he's able to turn Mitchell Trubisky into someone that was a backup quarterback that signed right before the NFL season started, no other team wanted him, he pretty much signed for the league minimum. Why wouldn't he be able to squeeze the most juice out of Daniel Jones? That's what I want to see. But at the end of the day, this show relies all on you and audience interaction. I love to read the comment section. It's very colorful. It's one of my favorite things to do. So let me know. Do you want the Giants to sign Mitch Trubisky? If you do, go down and type S for sign, or if you don't, go down and type P for pass. Whether the Giants sign Mitch Trubisky or another backup quarterback like Tyrod Taylor or Marcus Mariota, we are going to be breaking it down on this channel. If this is your first time watching a New York Giants Now video by Chat Sports, we are a one-stop shop for Giants news and rumors all year long. We thrive in the offseason, we thrive covering NFL free agency, and we thrive covering the NFL draft. And the Giants, as we all know, are going to be big players in the NFL draft. And we want to get to 6.5K subscribers as soon as possible. So if you love the Giants and you want more content on YouTube about the Giants, this is your channel, so go subscribe right now. The Giants, they need a solid backup quarterback. Daniel Jones, his injury history, every year he's missed at least one start as the Giants due to injury. And now coming off that brutal neck injury, who knows what the future of him is going to be. There are reports coming out that there is no long-term damage or concerns about his neck following that injury. But with as fragile as he's been, you have to go and sign a solid backup quarterback. I'm just not sure it's going to be someone that's wanting $10 million like Mitchell Trubisky. And I think Mitch Trubisky wanting $10 million is not that far out of the realm. I think he was severely underpaid last season. All the starting QB spots were taken. There's only 32, and there's only 32 backups. And he kind of got, brushed to the back of NFL free agency. He missed the first wave, he missed the second wave, and he missed the third wave. But this is someone that's been to the playoffs multiple times. He has a season where he went 11-3 as a starter, 24 TDs, 12 interceptions. Daniel Jones never did that. He also had another season of 16 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. He's been to the playoffs, and that's something DJ has never done. When you look at their careers as a whole, I think they're pretty similar. I think they're two first-round quarterbacks that maybe went too soon in their draft, and they went to teams that didn't have the most offensive help. Their O-lines weren't that well. They didn't really have an offensive coordinator, Matt Nagy and Jason Garrett, that were there to fully support them and put them in the best situations as possible. But when you look at their stats, they're very similar. They both complete about 63% of their passes. Yards per game, Mitch Trubisky is a little bit lower. DJ at 221, Mitch at 187. Their touchdown to interception ratio is very similar, 45-29 and 64-37. DJ started 37 games. Mitch has started 50. They've both been sacked a bunch. Mitch has been sacked 111 times in 50 starts. DJ's been sacked 105 times in 37 starts. They're also very mobile quarterbacks that I think will fit well in the Daboll offense. Josh Allen talked about how great of an athlete Mitch Trubisky is. He's ran for over 1,000 yards in his NFL career, and DJ is right at 1,000 yards. But this is what I always go back to. I prefer my backup quarterbacks to be backup quarterbacks. Take pride in holding the clipboard and working with the starting quarterback to make him better. And I think Mitch Trubisky is that type of guy. If you listen to what he had to say on that Schefter podcast about working with Josh Allen, he talked about how he thrived in that role and learned a lot from him. But I think the time is now that Daniel Jones is the future for the New York Giants, at least for next season. And Mitch Trubisky, even if the Giants sign him and he beats out Daniel Jones, he's most likely not going to be the long-term answer. So paying someone $10 million to be a stopgap for 1 year doesn't make the most sense. And at the end of the day, maybe it's just the Giants' blood that I bleed. I believe Daniel Jones is better. I think Daniel Jones can drive the bus. At his best, I think he's a quarterback that can win you games because he's that type of quarterback. I think Mitchell Trubisky went into a situation where the Bears' defense was great, and he won games by himself. He had a game where he threw 6 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He got to the playoffs. But I just think right now, you don't really get anything out of today and tomorrow by signing Mitchell Trubisky, whereas you get everything out of today and tomorrow by playing Daniel Jones. If he plays well, you have your franchise quarterback. You don't have to give a lot of money to a backup quarterback. If he plays bad, you're going to be back in the top half of the 2023 NFL draft, where there are a lot of young QB studs that you can draft. So who do you think is better right now? I already asked you who you want to be a starter, but this isn't the same question. Who do you think is a better quarterback right now? If you think it's Mitchell Trubisky, go down and type 10 in the comments. Or if you think it's DJ, go down and type 8. St. Patty's Day is just around the corner, and everyone knows you like to go out and have fun and party a little bit on St. Patty's Day, but it's always weird when some rando walks by you in the bar and pinches you and say, hey, you're not wearing any green. Well, this year you can wear some Giants green. If you go to chatsports.com/Giants green, they've got Giants-themed St. Patty's Day shirts on sale. So not only do you get some good Giants gear, you also get some green Giants gear. I like it. My last name's green. I like the color green. And I want a Giants shirt that's green because I like to party on St. Patty's Day, but I don't want to get pinched by a weirdo. So I'm going to be going to chatsports.com/green, Giants green, so you do it one more time, chatsports.com/Giants green. Mitch Trubisky is a Brian Daboll guy. Brian Daboll, he talked about the connection and the relationship that him and Mitchell Trubisky built over the first year that they spent in Buffalo, and he talked about why he was such an important piece for Josh Allen in that locker room and as a whole, and how thankful he was that he signed with the Buffalo Bills. This is what he had to say. Mitch has been a really good addition since he's been here. This was last year when he signed with Buffalo. He's a good guy that's played 50-some games, has seen a lot of football, standing back at that position. It's different than watching it from the press box or watching it from the sideline or anything like that. There's things that have happened to him throughout his young career so far that I think can help Josh and assist Josh and vice versa. I'm glad we have Mitch. Brian Daboll, he is someone that values having a backup quarterback, and I think it's very apparent that the Giants need one. But at the end of the day, you could see Daboll giving a call to his old buddy Mitchell Trubisky and say, hey, we've got a quarterback coming off a neck injury. He hasn't been a proven starter or been able to succeed all the way as a starter. So how about you come in, start as the backup. If things get rocky, you can come and replace him. But also Mitch Trubisky, he talked about why he signed with the Buffalo Bills, and he said this: Coach Daboll definitely made it very attractive to come here in the conversations I was having with him. How he has to play, how he plays to his quarterback strengths, no matter if it's Josh in there or somebody else. He says he's going to call the game to the quarterback's strengths and allow his playmakers to get open and make plays. It just seemed like a great offense to be a part of and learn from. And when you're coming to a new organization like Brian Daboll is with the New York Giants, it helps very much so when you're trying to install a new offense. If you can bring someone in that's been in the room with you, that's been through film studies with you, and knows your offense. Mitch Trubisky could teach Daniel Jones this offense. But I just go back to this. With the cap situation that the Giants are sitting at, there is no way in hell that Mitch Trubisky, is going to get $10 million annually from the New York Giants. If they do, I'll come on this show and I'll tell you I was wrong. And if the Giants sign him, I'll be rooting for Mitch Trubisky to be the best version of himself he can be. I would never wish bad upon a quarterback. Whoever comes and takes snaps for the Giants, I want him to be the best guy for the New York Giants. I want him to succeed. I just don't see a way that Joe Schoen, trying to clear $40 million in cap space, is going to willingly hand out $10 million to a backup quarterback. I don't know. That's my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know. How much would you pay Mitch Trubisky in free agency? Remember, last year he signed a one-year deal for $2.5 million. Now he's looking for $10 million. And I don't think that's a problem. You should always go out and try to get the bag, so I applaud Mitch for that. But this is your chance to be a part of the show just as much as I am. Let me know. How much would you pay Mitch Trubisky in free agency? If you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. Give it a like, comment down below. It's the easiest way to support us. People always hit me up on Twitter and say, hey, Marsh, how can I support Giants now? It's by liking the videos and commenting every single time. So I want to thank everybody that does that. And if you made it this far, give me a follow on Twitter. Send me a DM letting me know you came from this video, and I'll give you a follow back.